This is Let's Talk Teens, a parenting podcast sharing tips on raising amazing teenagers. We are both certified life coaches that have worked with teenagers as coaches, mentors, and teachers. We are sharing what we have found to work best when dealing with teens and tough issues.
This is Let's Talk Teens with Abbi and Cheree, episode 68. So, what if my teacher at school doesn't like my teen?
Oh, Cheree, I love this is a question that came in from some parents that we've worked with, and we thought this is a good one. We got to talk about this because I feel like we're just starting a new semester, and there's been enough time that your teen has probably come back with a few comments about how there's a mean teacher at school, or this teacher's such a creep, or nobody likes this teacher, or man, this teacher doesn't like me, right? And as a parent, that sends off our radars. We're like, what? How could somebody not love my precious baby angel, right?
Right.
And so, kind of the first thing that I want to just argue with parents is question that thought before you bite on it, okay? Um, my experience working with teens as a coach and also as a teacher is that they tend to repeat the rhetoric of the school or rhetoric that's going to put them in a favorable light. So, that are things like, oh, mom, I know I bombed my Spanish test, but this teacher doesn't like me, right? Well, it might be that Spanish is hard, right? Or this teacher expects a lot of your child. And those are actually things that I admire and want a teacher to put pressure on my teen for, right? I also know too, especially if you have a younger teen, I'm talking about junior high, there is always a couple teachers that students peg and they'll be like, oh, this one is such a creeper mom or this and that. And I just really like this is my teacher heart coming out. Question that, right? Like you do not have to bite on that because I feel like teens really feed into that when we bite on it and go, oh, you're kidding. Tell me why. Or instead of just saying things like, oh, really? Because I don't think that. Or, oh, honey, they would never hire a teacher if that was really going on, right? And just kind of reinforcing that rhetoric of, these are respected people that we need to, honor and respect ourselves. So just always question that as a parent before you fully sink in and bite on this thought of, oh, this is a bad teacher or this teacher doesn't like my child.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I love that questioning it and even really getting curious of and asking your teen, well, why? Why don't they like you? And really letting them explore that because the more they talk about it, they might even come up with, they just aren't patient with me or they want me to do something I can't do or and you really can get to the root of what the problem is instead of they just this blanket statement of they don't like me, right? So
Yeah.
I love that really questioning it, but even having your teen question that, well, why? Like, why wouldn't they like you? Tell me why. Why don't they like you? What do they do? What do they say? What makes you think they don't like you? Really help them get clear of that, don't you think?
Yeah. And when they, if we do go down and they're like, well, they really push me hard or they give me a bad score on this and responding with, that sounds like a really good teacher who knows their stuff, right? And just reinforcing that rhetoric of,
Yeah.
hey, it's okay to be challenged, right?
Mm.
Now, you might discover that maybe your child did do something, or maybe there really are some things that you're like, oh, no, they really might not like you. And so that leads to my second point of let them not like your child. Like especially when it comes to your teen children that are in junior high and high school where this is a teacher that they get for an hour and 30 minutes every other day, let them not like your kid, right? Because that's a real life scenario. We are going to, well, your child is going to grow up and they're going to have people that just don't like them. They're going to have bosses that don't like them, managers that don't like them. And that's a powerful lesson. And I promise you, as a teacher, there's nothing you can do as a parent. If I really have decided, hey, this child drives me nuts, right, in my class, the mom coming and talking to me does not change my mind about that. It does not make me go, oh, I was so wrong and now I like this child, right? Because there's typically, some weird dynamics going on of maybe your kid's a little sassier in class and just sharing some of my teaching stories. And I'd love to hear some of yours, Cheree, but um, oh my goodness, I have so many. But to this point, I remember calling home one time on a young man who I felt like was really disrespecting me in class. And I called home and I was talking to his mom about that. And I will never forget. She was like, are you sure? I don't think he's disrespecting you. And, just really giving me all the reasons that her child would never do something naughty in class. And I was just like, this is why he's doing naughty things in class, right? Because she was like, there's just no way. And I know he might say something sassy, but you can't take that personally. And I was just like, oh my goodness, right? Like, we've got to take some accountability on this. And then
Yeah.
another story I was thinking about is my brother. This is actually his story. He did have one teacher not like him, which I can't believe because my older brother is just so amazing and so sweet and a good student. But what had happened is, when he's like telling my parents, oh, this teacher doesn't like me, and they kind of quiz him down, oh, why would you say that? And he goes, well, one time my girlfriend had told me, like, let's ditch class and go make pancakes at my house. And he caught me on the way out. And he said, hey, will you go back to class? And I didn't. I went out. And so I loved it. My parents let that teacher not like him because guess what? He had ditched his class. He had, disrespected him. And I promise you, that was the only and last time that he ever ditched that teacher's class because it was a powerful lesson to learn of I can't, go ditch class or go hang out with my girlfriend and act like it's not hurtful to my teachers.
And I think it's so good to have these experiences where your kids don't like their teachers or their teachers don't like them. It is uncomfortable. We don't like it. We like to be liked, right?
Yeah.
But the real world is we're not for everybody. So we're not going to like everyone and everyone's not going to like us. And letting them have that experience. I love that. Just let them. We love Mel Robbins for her let them theory,
Hmm.
right? But really letting them have that real life experience in junior high or high school is so, so important. I remember as a parent of my older kids, I always felt like if the teacher didn't like them, I needed to go change them and get them out of that situation. And I think that's a disservice. Like looking at it, looking hindsight's 2020. And not that I always did that, but when I started to figure out like this is actually super good for my kid. This is actually super good for my children to learn that there's some people that aren't going to like them and there's people they're not going to like, and we still have to learn to like navigate that and be in situations like that. Because just as you said, they're going to go into the workforce and not everyone's going to like them. They're going to have a boss that doesn't like them. They're going to have a boss they don't like. And what great experience for them to have in junior high or high school, whether in your home, when it's not like the stakes aren't quite as high,
Yeah.
that they get to experience that there's just going to be people who don't like us and nothing has gone wrong.
On that side of experiences that we need to have, just like my brother, this teacher liked him until he did a
Yeah.
punky teenage thing.
Yeah.
And I think that's so important to know. Oh, I can't do that, right? I can't do these certain things and still have a manager at work take me seriously, right? Or to like
Yeah.
me. And let's learn
Our
that in high school when it's a grade versus you're fired, right? Or things like
Yeah.
that.
Our choices have consequences. I teach my clients that all the time. Like when you pick up a pen, guess what? The tip of the pen comes with the top of the pen. The top of the pen could be your choice and the tip could be your consequences. And there could be good or bad, but like you can't just pick up one side of the pen. The whole thing's coming up. Our choices have consequences. So if we're gonna slough, there's gonna be a consequence. And that may be that that teacher doesn't like them. And that is such good learning.
Yeah, and I was just thinking back on this because truly, truly, Cheree, I just had one teacher in college that we got off on the wrong foot, and it was a miserable semester. I'm not gonna lie. It was the hardest class I've ever done. There were so many tears shed, and yeah, I survived, right? I survived that class. And would it have been a lot better if that teacher liked me? Yes, but also I'm fine, right? Like we grow up, and I think we just need to know, hey, this might be a hard experience for our youth. There might be some tears. There might be me worrying about them as a parent, but I can support them in ways that aren't just biting the bit of, yeah, this is a horrible, unfair teacher, and I'm switching you out of their class, right?
That's such a good, like, just learning even grit and resilience and that we can do hard things. And I always call those the $1 million learning experiences that you wouldn't pay a nickel to repeat,
Oh,
right?
they
Like
suck.
you just don't want to be in that situation where it's like, there's tears and you're just horrible semester and you don't want your child to be in that at all. But sometimes those miserable experiences are the best teaching. And you look back and you're like, I learned a lot from that. And I wouldn't want to do it again. Again, I wouldn't want to pay a nickel to repeat it, but it was $1 million learning experience. I learned so much. And I showed up and I didn't die.
Yes.
Also good.
Well, and just to conclude, one thought that I had as you were like, yeah, that was $1 million learning. I was like, you know what? That teacher not liking me when, fast forward like 10 years in the future and I'm teaching students,
Hmm.
it made me pause and go, I never want a kid to think I don't like them, right? I never
Exactly.
want a kid to have me be the teacher that they were like, oh, I would just cry in her class, or she would, and that came from a hard experience, right? And so we don't want to rob our kids of that empathy that comes from that. So I
Love
know
that.
your kid is saying, Mom, this teacher, this or that, and obviously, use your mom prerogative when that comes, but that's okay. It's okay. We don't have to bite on that thought. We don't have to solve that problem for our youth. We can just let them not have a teacher that they like, and it's okay. So hang in there, parents. We know that you got this. Thank you for listening to Let's Talk Teens with Cheree Murdock and Abbi Winslow. If you are looking for more tips to help your teenager, here's where you can find us. You can find Cheree Murdock on Instagram at Cheree Murdock Coaching or on her website, ChereeMurdock.com. You can find me, Abbi, on Instagram as Abbi Winslow or on my website, AbbiWinslow.com. Please rate and review our podcast and share with a fellow parent. Thanks for listening.